People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, guys, we are back and we have a legend in magic. This guy I met at a magic convention, 2006, something like that, 2007. And he I don't know, he blew me away. I was unexpected. I'll get into it more. I had zero expectations, and he blew me away. And I've been a friend of his ever since. I am a supporter of his magic. I'm a supporter of his business. And everybody, it's Kozmo. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm great. How about you?
That's me winging it, man. That's me winging an introduction. Sorry about that. But I
What
want
is
to
it?
get because when I first met you, it was at MAES convention. Do you remember what year that was?
I don't. I
No.
don't.
So I don't remember if you wore it on stage, but in my mind, you wore it on stage. Your trademark Hawaiian shirt and khaki shorts.
Yeah.
And what is this guy doing? First of all, just your whole demeanor and everything, you remind me of a family member that is an alcoholic. So I'm putting you in a category already, Kozmo, right? And
wow,
I'm like,
talk about judging somebody.
I was totally, and I'm being 100% honest, right? So I had zero expectations of your show, and I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what is going on. He's wearing a Hawaiian shirt on stage. Everybody else is in tuxedos and, suits. And Kozmo goes up there and rocks the audience. Yeah. The audience is rolling over, laughing, funny moments, amazing magic moments. You rocked it, man. And I've been like, dude, I like this guy ever since. So I try to keep you away from that family member in my mind. You aren't like him at all.
Yeah, I'm not an alcoholic either.
No, that's good. That's good. So, what have you been up to, man? I haven't talked to you in a while. How you been?
I'm good. Just hanging out, doing some shows. I'm doing some shows with Ryan Bliss, who's a terrific sleight of hand guy from upstate New York, and we've been working some theaters. And I bought this portable theater that we can take from town to town, black box theaters, or we could go into a banquet room and set this thing up with our own risers and creates an environment. It's a very cool thing that we're doing. So I've been playing with that, and I'm playing with Real Magic, trying to keep people subscribed and tuned into that. And that's what I've been doing, and relaxing, not traveling nearly as much, staying off the streets. Got a little sun issues. That if you work outside, wear sunscreen. That's some advice. But so that's what I'm doing. Yeah, occasionally go out and work on the streets just to prove I can.
Yeah. Well, when was the last time you've been on the street? When was the last time you did that?
I haven't been on the street since like November.
Okay.
So, but this will heal up in the next week or so, and I'll be back out there hopefully next weekend doing some shows.
Well, we're gonna get into Real Magic and all of that because I'm a fan. I'm a fan. But what was your start in magic? You didn't get started on the streets. Who was your inspiration? How'd you get started?
I was like everybody, just started when I was a kid and just never let it go. I think there are two major inspirations were, well, maybe three. There was a guy named Brian Gillis who was a really good close-up guy, and I watched him on Johnny Carson. This was a lot of years ago, and it just kind of let me know that magic can be cool. It doesn't have to be the guy. Brian Gillis wasn't the guy with the tie with the cards on it, flashing, and a little pin that said magician on it. Which isn't really cool. He was funny and and quick-witted, and so he was a real inspiration. And Brian and I became friends. I met him on. I was working on 3rd Street Promenade in LA, and he walked by to go do some meeting or something, and I got a chance to meet him. He watched me work, and it was pretty great to have him still, because he was a real hero. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that he was there. And And then the other guy, of
You
course,
recognized him right away, or did he have
yeah,
to?
I just, I had just finished this set and he was walking by and I just did, like did one of these, as I were going and he stops and looks at me and go, hey, you're Brian Gillis, aren't you? And he goes, yeah. And I says, man, I'm a big fan of yours. And you changed my life. And he goes, well, and so he talked for a minute. He says, I got to go to this meeting, but if you're working a little while when I come back through, I'll stop and watch. And so sure enough, an hour later, he comes back through and he stopped and watched. And at the end of the show, he came up to me and he says, that's the best thing I've seen in years. And, he was lying, but, he said, your show is great. And he just started talking about pieces of it. And um, so I was going to fly back to New York, where I live, the next day, and I couldn't get rid of him afterwards. He just wanted to hang out and just talk. It was all afternoon, so finally I gave up, packed up my stuff, and we went and had some food and hung out for a little bit. But the next morning, I went to the airport to fly back home, and I got a text message from him talking about. And I still to this day have that text message, and of course he had a heart attack and died, but talking about my show. He was so kind to me, so he was wonderful. Brian was a great guy and much loved Brian Gillis.
Wow.
Yeah. The other guy is Cellini. Jim Cellini, the legendary street magician. He taught me about when I started working this. I had never seen a street performer before I went out and tried working on the streets, and it was like in late '80s, and I had been reading about this street thing, and even though I'd never seen a street performer, I knew that I wanted to give it a try. So one day there was a local one Saturday there was a local festival, and so I said I'm gonna go give this a try. So I went out and I bought myself a hat because I knew that I had to have a hat for money, and I bought myself a fanny pack because it was the '80s. And off to this festival, I went and crashed, and I walked around for 3 hours just doing card tricks, no show, just card tricks, coin tricks, that kind of stuff, and putting my hat down, and people put money in, and I made $135 in 3 hours. And I said, man, there's something to this, what if I could do a show out there? All I need is a table. I was working in restaurants at that time and doing shows, and would table hopping. And I said, what if I could, what if I could do, all I need is a table. So I went and built myself a table, and I crashed a festival a few weeks later in Scranton, Pennsylvania, called the Italian Festival. And I did one show after the other after the other. I was young and had all kinds of energy, and the show was only like 6 or 7 or 8 minutes long. And at the end of the day, I had made $675 doing this. And this is like in the '80s, so it's a lot of money. So I went back the next 2 days. It was a Labor Day weekend festival, and I made a little over $1,900 at that festival over the weekend. I go, geez, this can't be real. I was working at Cornell University. I was a broadcast engineer. I wasn't making that kind of money working there. So a few weeks later, there was an apple festival, then a pumpkin festival, and I was having this same kind of results, the same kind of success. And the money was starting to change our lives. It was, a lot of cash coming in all at once, So I had saved up some vacation time. I said to my wife, I said, what if I went to New Orleans and gave it a try? This is over a Christmas break. And she said, yeah, go ahead. Well, she hated me. We didn't get along. I was really, really a miserable person. I mean, I hated my life. I wanted to do magic for a living, and I was doing something I just did not want to do, So, so I'd come home from work and the kids would run and hide, and I'd kick the dog, I mean, wasn't a nice guy, and I didn't really kick the dog. And so off to New Orleans I went, and I went there, and when I arrived, I was a Tuesday morning, about 11 o'clock. I get to New Orleans, and I'm out on Royal Street. I didn't know anything about anything because I'd never even seen a street performer, right? And it was raining and drizzly and cold. and I went to the AMP and bought some fruit and some lemons and went out there, set up my little table, and I'm standing out there in the middle of the rain. Must have looked like an idiot because there's nobody out in the streets, right? No one is out because it was cold and miserable, and I'm standing out there thinking I'm going to do a show. But after about 15 or 20, and I was broke, and I had a credit card with me, but I swore I wasn't going to use it, and I had like $4 or $5. That's all I had. And I says I'm going to get home on this $4 or $5. Like I have to prove to myself that I can do this. So there's just a couple of, 15, 20 minutes into me standing out there in the rain, walking down the street, looking in the windows with an umbrella. And I walked over and just started a conversation with them, talking. And they said, well, what do you do? I said, I'm a magician. They go, well, show me something. So I did a little coin trick and a card trick, and they said, you're really good. Here's $5. And off they went. And a few minutes later, there was another couple, then another couple. And I'd made $15 or $20. I'm going, man, at least I'm going to eat today, right? I could sleep in my truck. And, that they the sun came out, and it's a good thing it came out because I was in trouble. And the sun came out, and I spent the whole weekend down there, drove home, and I made like $1,600. I got home and I had $1,600, and I said, man, this is great. I went back to work. I'm my usual miserable self. My wife calls me on the phone a couple weeks into it and says, and I'm an asshole. And she goes, why don't you just quit the job? I just can't take it. This isn't working. And so I did. I quit my job. And other than marrying her, I've been married to her for 46 years now. Other than marrying her, it was the best decision I ever made. That event, if rain hadn't stopped, who knows? I'd probably be some engineer at Cornell University still. So that's how it started for me.
Wow.
That was so long-winded, and
No, that was good.
No, I didn't want to say anything to interrupt it because the camera goes back and forth when I talk. But wow, man, that's amazing. If it would have been rainy the whole time, that'd have been it.
Yeah.
So
It was meant to be.
you drove down there on a truck. You're from New York?
yeah, upstate New York.
That's a pilgrimage by yourself as well.
That's a long drive.
Yeah, young. I used to love to drive. I used to love that, and now I hate it. You can't get me to go anywhere. I don't want to drive, and I hate to get on airplanes. I'm just a miserable old man now, a crotchety old dude, That's why it's hard to get me to go. Like I see all these places like the Chicago Magic Bar, and all these places, all these venues where you guys can work, and I have no interest in going and doing it because I have to leave my house. I have to either I'm going to drive to Chicago or Philadelphia, or I have to fly, and neither one of those things are things that I want to do. So I just stay at home.
I get it. We just did the Smoke and Mirrors Theater. We called them and asked them could we be there because I'm like, I'll never see it unless I work it. There's no reason for me to go because it's 5 hours from here. So we had a weekend off. Hey, you got time around this time? And it worked out. But yeah, it's one of those things, man. But yeah, I don't know. We have an RV pulling a trailer, 400 shows a year. We're on the road. So the RV makes it so nice though, man. I got coffee, in the bathroom. I got, the whole family's with me. Being on the road by yourself that's draining because you're by yourself, I think.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah. It's no fun looking at the Great Barrier Reef by yourself.
No, you're right.
You want to be you want to share it with somebody that you love, like your wife, So yeah, it was my dream to do what you were doing. I thought, that at some point my wife and I would buy, after the kids were raised, would buy an RV, and just we'll go to New Orleans and hang out for 5 months. We'll go to Burlington, Vermont, and hang out for 4 or 5 months, and that's what we would do, But she changed those plans. She didn't want anything to do with that. So I'm. I was
going to say there's still time, but if she doesn't want to do it, you can't force it.
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
No, but for a street person, you got to fix that here. For a street magician to have an RV and to just vacation at different places like that. I mean, what's it cost? $13 a week to park at some of these campgrounds, and you're making $1,900 a day. I mean, you're racking and you're going to different places. That's awesome. So I don't think you explained to me, you did a couple card tricks, coin tricks. You crashed some places. Then you did that thing down there. Had you seen Cellini? How did you structure a
Oh
show?
yeah, I had never seen him, but as I developed as a street performer, it started to, think about it. When I came home from New Orleans, I started to research, who are great, who's the great guys. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to find one, I'm going to find the best guy, and then I'm going to go watch him work and steal his material.
Oh no.
That's where I was back then. I didn't know. Hey, you're not supposed to do that. So I started, the internet was starting to happen. There was some threads out there, and I started searching, street performers and street magicians, and his name kept popping up. And so I started posting, where can I see him? And after 6 months of posting every day, where can I see Cellini? Where can I see Cellini? Doug Kahn, Doug,
Yeah.
great guy, great magician. He reached out and said, Cellini's at my house in New Orleans. And I says, I want to come and see him. So he arranged for me to meet him, and I drove down to New Orleans, and I brought a camera crew, and that's how the whole video thing started. I convinced Cellini after I'd met him that, and we brought the camera crew just to shoot video. We just shot video of him walking around, not performing, but just, I interviewed him and talked just like you guys are doing with me, and learned, and we became friends. And he was old. He was old. He was only like 56 or 57, but he was old. He aged badly. He had some sciatic nerves and all kind of problems with his health. And so he couldn't work on the streets anymore. And, working on the streets is a pretty demanding environment to work, because you're standing in the sun on pavement all day long. It's a bitch, it's rough. And he couldn't handle, he couldn't do it anymore, because he'd been out there for, 30, 40 years, whatever. So I said to him, well, maybe you could, go on a lecture tour and, talk to magicians. And him and his wife, Marianne, and I says, all you need is some product, and I could help you develop the product. Maybe we could just, shoot some video, and you can. And so he agreed to do that. And that's where the art of street performing, those DVDs from way back in the day came from. So we started following Cellini around the United States, and we went to Colorado, and, Boston and New York and New Orleans, and shot a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of that stuff is on the Real Magic site now that we shot. And that I forgot where we were going with this question, but as I'm rambling on, but yeah, that's how the thing with Cellini started, and that's how I started doing production stuff, magic production stuff. And so we did that, and then we did some Jeff Williams stuff, and and in 2007, I got the idea that maybe we could do a video magazine, and that's where Real Magic started. A video magazine on DVD, and so the whole thing about it is that it would give me, when I came off the road, it'd give me something to work on, right? Some magic project that I'd constantly be working on. And of course, now it's kind of taken over my life, because it's what I do. But yeah, so that's how all that started.
I got so much. I got a page full of questions for you. So my thing about doing what you did and crashing festivals and things, I'm like a little kid in my heart. I'm a 7-year-old kid. If an adult is scolding me, I go into a ball. I have no bravado. So I can't imagine being chased off or having cops yell at me and give me fines. What are stories? I know you have stories like that. You just, oh, sorry, I didn't know, and go, or what happens?
Yeah, it was better just to, plead ignorance, and then you don't ask. Don't ask for permission, because then they can say no. So I would just, more generally though, I mean, it was early on that I crashed that festival in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I didn't do a lot of crashing festivals. I found out where I was going to be welcome. because this became, when I left my job at Cornell University, this became a serious thing. I had 3 kids, a wife, I got a house, and I need to make money. And so I always went where I was welcome so that I knew that I could work. In New Orleans, I was welcome. Burlington, Vermont, I was welcome. There's Chicago, you can work in LA, all of those, in London, so in Boston. So that's what it was. So I never really had the police stories I had. The first time I went to New Orleans to work on that is I had some issues with. I sat up in front of this jewelry store on Royal Street, and I got a pretty good sized crowd. And this guy comes out of the jewelry store just pissed off and just starts screaming at me. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of you people setting up in front of my store. Of course, it's completely illegal. He goes, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Right? I don't know anything. I go, oh, geez. So I pack up my stuff and I go to a new spot. Now I'm over in Jackson Square. And I'm working for about 15 or 20 minutes. All of a sudden, this guy shows up with 2 cops. And right in the middle of the show. And the cop goes, sir, I need to talk to you. Can I finish the show? He goes, no. So I stop. Everybody wanders away. I walk over and he goes, this man said that you told him that you were going to kill him. Oh! He said that I accused the guy that I was going to murder him, that I was threatening his life. Of course, it's just ridiculous. I said, look, here's my name. To the cop, I says, you check me out, you're going to find out that that's none of my character, that I'm no jail time, I'm not a lawbreaker. So he checks it out and he goes, well, I'm going to give you a ticket for disturbing the peace. And he says, you got to come back. So I go home. A month later, I got to go to this court date. And asked my lawyer, should I go? And he goes, yeah, go. So I fly down. I'm standing in a hallway, getting ready to go into court. There's a line of 30 people in front of me. And you can tell that those 30 people are all guilty. Right? They're all in line. They're all going, and you can hear it. The judge has got his, New Orleans is a pretty corrupt place anyway, it's. So the guy's got his desk in there, and he's the judge. And you're in the hallway, and it's hot, man. It's like blazing hot. And one of the criminals would go in, and he goes, "Okay, what's your story?" And the guy would start running his mouth. You could tell he was lying. And everybody get hallway in. And the judge goes, "Oh, it's just nonsense. Guilty, $100 fine." And then the guy comes out and he's pissed and he's swearing, it's right. Or you're going to jail, and they haul guys off, and one after the other, I'm going, holy shit. Oh, I am so screwed. Finally, it's my turn. And I go in, and he goes, so what's your story? He goes, I go, well, I was down on Royal Street in front of the Great Expectations doing magic. And the judge goes, you do magic? And I go, yeah. He goes, show me something. So I'm doing magic for the judge. After about 5 minutes, the guy goes, hang on for a second. He goes, hey, Willie, Jenny, come on in here. You got to see this. So now he's got like 10 people in there. He goes, do some more. In the meantime, all these people who are standing behind me in line are just dying in the hallway. They're all sweating. So finally, the judge goes, that guy from Great Expectations, an asshole. Not guilty. Bam. He goes. Then he goes to me. The judge goes to me. He goes, hey, listen. Saturday, my kid's having a birthday party. Can you come to my house? And I go, absolutely. So I went and did the judge's house. I did it for free, didn't charge the guy, because it's always good to have friends in New Orleans, Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's a lesson right there to everyone. Always have something on you. always.
Yeah.
You know, if your pockets had been empty just with your license and wallet, you'd have been in trouble, man. What did you perform? Do you know?
I had all my stuff with me, so
Wow.
I just did the card stuff. I did the jar, which wasn't the jar back then. It was a different thing. And yeah. So I did a bunch of stuff for them and they loved it. And, and everybody in the hallway hated my guts. And, we're all I walk in, the judge escorts me to the door and he's laughing. He's got his arm around me, tap me. That's great, man. Come back. I'll see you Saturday.
Oh man.
All right. So
Yeah.
we're still on
Magic is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It breaks all language barriers. You don't have to speak the language and you can bond with people. We go to Mexico every year. I know what I know of Spanish fits in a thimble, but I can bond with anybody at a bar, walk up to somebody, just show them something. It's awesome. But
And it's almost if you're a guy who can do magic, and this is a Garrett Thomas thing that he used to say all the time. If you're a guy and you can do magic, um, it's almost a responsibility if you can do magic at a high level to do it for people because you change their day, you change how they look at life. I mean, it's just and they remember it forever. You're giving them this gift of an impossible moment, right? And that's a wonderful thing to give to somebody, something that it's never going to leave them. It says they're going to remember you and they're going to remember that moment forever.
and a lot of pros get jaded and they're like, no, you paid me for that. And it's like, no, you're at a bank, you're at a gas station. It takes 2 seconds of your time to make their day. They'll go home and tell their friends, this wasn't just a normal pump at the gas station. I met this dude and it was awesome.
Yeah, Jeff McBride used to say, do it, if you're new, do it everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, because that's how you get better, And he's right, yeah, I love magic. Still to this day, I still love great magic.
I know you do. I know you do. So a beginner is watching. I don't know that I'll ever do street magic that way. I get hired for festivals and do close-up magic or work a table or something, but I don't think I'll ever put out a hat. Now, go with me here. In my mind, I feel like I'm begging, but I've seen amazing street magic. I would go to Fremont Street and I'm looking for the magicians. I love watching it. I just feel weird. How do I break down that feeling? Or is there a way to break down that feeling?
I for me, I never felt it. I never felt like I was begging. Because I put so much time and work into it. So for me, it never happened. The one thing I will say though is for a new guy who wants to give this a try is that the hardest thing to do is to come back the next day after getting your ass kicked. Because you do get pounded on. I mean, it is not easy out there. You get treated really badly. You're a beggar to them, and it's particularly in this country. In Europe, it's not so much, but here it's like, yeah, there must be something wrong with this guy. That's why he's out there. I want to stop him. Get a real job, buddy. Get a real job. All that kind of stuff that you hear. And you just got to kind of roll it off your back. So you go out, you fail, you can't get anybody to stop because it's not easy to get people to stop. People are jaded, and particularly now, So the hardest thing to do is to come back the next day, and that's what you should do is make sure you come back the next day. And look, Chile used to talk about this all the time. It says 1 year on the streets like 10 years anywhere else. There's no way you can get this much flight time anyplace else. You can go out there on a Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock and go to work and do show after show after show. And it might be for 6 people. It might be for 8 people. It might be for 2. But you're going to get better. Your audience is going to always give you the reaction, the input to tell you, and they're going to let you know what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. The audience never lies, And why am I losing all these people at this particular point in my show? Well, what are you doing right there that they're leaving? What are you saying to them? What's the effect? I used to do this rope trick, and I swear I hate rope tricks now because every time I did this thing, man, right afterwards they were gone. And so that's a beautiful thing about working on the streets is that it makes you strong, and it makes you strong quick.
So with having Natalie by my side at every show, she can tell me, at a county fair, a hot dog is calling their name. There's no line for the ice cream right now. This is a free show. I'll just go get ice cream. She can tell me that I lost people during this trick or something happened, or, because I'm so focused on everything. I can't focus on the wanderers. Did you videotape your show to be able to really analyze that, or you just were able to eagle eye everything?
It wasn't easy to videotape stuff back then.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Technology,
Yeah.
there were no iPhones, right?
Right.
What I will say this though is that if you can't videotape, is audio record every show, because you're doing all of these shows one after the other after the other after the other. You're going to say something, and everybody's going to laugh, and you're going, "Oh man, that was great! Ah, I can use it in every show." And then the show ends, and you're going, "Okay, now what exactly did I say? Oh, it was I forgot it." But you got that audio recording. You heard it. You can rebuild it in your mind. Oh, how can I use this in every show? And so you're going to retain. That's the beauty about working show after show. You're going to retain a lot of these things. You're going to find new things, new ways to do it, and ways. This. How you say something impacts the power of what you're doing, whether it's comedically or magically. It just does. So having that audio recording of every show, and then when you're riding home at night, you can sit there and listen to it and go, oh, and you're going to learn about, how you phrase things, and you're talking too much, you're going to become so much more efficient in the thing in your text and the things that you're saying. And yeah, so
Yeah.
record everything that you can record. If you can do video, great, but at least audio.
Well, and do both, maybe. Because on the way home, you can listen to the audio. Because on the video, you might be distracted looking over the audience. Look at that old grump over there. But you're not paying attention to why did that guy have his arms crossed? But you're supposed to be listening to the audio. Do both. Why not? Natalie really helps me, though. Because if I start saying like ums in my show or repetitive something, she'll be like, hey, she lays me out. She lets me know. She lays it on the line. She tells me. So let's see. So did you have anybody that you ran into constantly? Like I hear stories, Amazing Jonathan and Harry Anderson were competitive at one time. Did you have anybody that you kept meeting on the streets when you were going around?
Well, Harry and I were friends.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Harry was great. I mean, Harry loved the professional street performers because he was one.
Right.
He lived in New Orleans. Harry and I would play cards every Tuesday night.
Wow.
At a friend's house in New Orleans when I was in town. It would be me and Harry, a psychopath balloon clown by the name of Checkers, and a Dante, who's a street magician down there, who's a fantastic magician and great performer. And of course, the psychopath balloon clown. Of course, he'd always lose because he's a balloon clown. But Harry had a little magic store down there, and one night we're playing cards, and I said to him, and of course Harry is never there. Every once in a while, you'd walk by there, and the doors would be open, and Harry would be in there doing magic for tourists. But he had somebody working in the shop, and I said to him, I says, Harry, I need some flash paper. Can I stop by the shop tomorrow? And he goes, Kaz, we're closed tomorrow. And I go, oh, okay. He goes, but I tell you what, tell me where you're working, and I'll bring you some. I says, well, I'm going to be out in the corner of St. Pete and Decatur at 1:00. He goes, I'll drop some flash paper off to you. So I'm doing a show out there. It's 1:00 in the afternoon. They got a nice little crowd, 30, 40 people, something like that. And Harry shows up. But Harry stays way in the back, and he's got his fedora that he always wore, and he's got it over his face so people won't recognize, because he had just come off of Dave's World. He was a huge television star, huge, Seinfeld, one of those iconic television guys, right? He stayed way in the back because he knows if he comes up front, he's going to be the show. So I finished the show, and Harry, this two couples come up to me, and then he goes, and they go, "Hey, you were fantastic. Can we get a picture?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." So this woman pulls out one of those cardboard Instamatic cameras back, or whatever from way back when, and looks around and goes, "Sir, would you take a picture for us?" And hands Harry the camera. And so now I'm standing there. Harry Anderson is taking the picture. I'm having a good time with this, I got to tell you. And, so Harry takes a couple snaps and walks over to the woman and says, "Here you go, ma'am. Here's your camera. Kaz, here's your flash paper. I'll see you later." And down the street he walks. The woman looks up at me and she goes, "You know that guy? He looked a lot like Harry Anderson." Like, lady, that was Harry Anderson.
Wow.
Harry hears the whole thing as he's walking away. He does one of these as he's waving goodbye, I know in some rinky-dink town in West Virginia, there's this woman, and she has her new friends over at Christmas, and there's a picture of me and her on her refrigerator with a magnet, and she says to her friends, "You see that guy right? You see that picture right there? You're not going to believe who took that damn picture."
That's awesome.
Harry was great, man. He loved all the street performers. He was always really warm to us. Yeah.
What a great entertainer he was. Just all the way around. What a great entertainer he was all the way around, and everything. Just amazing. I wish I'd have met him. Golly. I got his tie that's signed from Night Court. Every time somebody comes over, I'm like, "Hey, this is awesome," and they're like, "Who?" Oh, kills me.
He gave me one of them. He gave me a tie.
Wow.
Yeah, and Josh J was at my house, and I started talking to him. I says, he started to ask me about Harry because he's a big Harry Anderson fan. I says, yeah. He says, yeah. I says, yeah. He gave me this tie that he wore on Night Court because he had a different tie every week on Night Court, right? They're all hand painted. You have one. And he says, "Oh man, I'd love to have a tie like that." I go, "Oh, you can have this one." And so I gave it to him. Yeah. So Josh has it now, and I'm sure he supports it. Yeah.
So I'm all over the notes here. Where did the name Kozmo come from?
I was in Detroit and riding back with my friend Mize, and we were pretty stoned. And it was a long time ago. It's legal now. And he said, my friend Mize says, "Hey, you can't use my real name is Ted." He goes, "You can't be a street performer and have the name Ted. I mean, that doesn't work, So we just kept throwing back ideas, and at the end of it, Kozmo was the one that stuck, and so that's where I got the name.
Wow.
If I had to do it again, I'd change the name. It would be Kozmo.
I can't call you Ted. I hope that's all right. You're Kozmo to me, man. I can't change it at this point.
What would you change it to? Do you have an idea? What would you rather it be? Do you know?
No clue.
No,
I'd have to think about it. I'd probably get somebody who's creative like you to come up with a name. It could be because I'm not
Well, I mean, Harry was Harry. I mean, Harry Anderson.
Yeah, but Harry Anderson, it's a cool name. Harry, that's a cool name.
Hey, I don't see anything wrong
right here. I just got an email. Some guy just canceled his Real Magic subscription.
Oh no!
Well, we need to talk about that. Let's fix that.
You made a mistake.
I found out about you at this place. You blew me away. I had no expectation, and it was shattered through the ceiling. You rocked that house that night. It was awesome. One of my favorite performance that year. So I immediately become a subscriber to Real Magic Magazine DVD. Get these DVDs in the mail. I think it was quarterly at one point. It was bi-monthly, and then it went to quarterly. Loved it. I was like a little kid checking my mailbox, loving it.
Yep.
We go on our honeymoon in 2008, and I'm in line behind this guy. And I'm like, "I know you from Real Magic Magazine." And he's like, "It's the first time I ever got noticed from this." It was Wayne Kawamoto. We were in line.
Wayne.
And then in 2014, I get hired to work on Carbonaro, and I'm like, that's David Regal. And he's like, yeah. But I see him every month. I mean, I put Real Magic Magazine on in the background as I'm doing office work because it's a magazine. There's commercials in between the segments, and there's an interview portion, and there's magic you can watch. So I'd watch it 15, 20 times and take it all in, but it was always just running in the background. So I have these guys in my head talking. I hear their voices and everything. And I just had David Penn on the podcast a couple weeks ago, who you introduced me to from a Real Magic Magazine interview, saying that they were superstars in magic. And then I went back from your issue and I watched every episode, and I've been a follower of theirs ever since. So you've been a part of my life, dude. I don't know if you know it, but it's influenced a lot.
Thanks.
So you got rid of the whole DVD thing. I just re-upped my subscription, but you still have like the Max and the other thing. Is that still the same thing? Did I do the right thing?
Yeah, you did the $7 one, right? Which is the right thing. Yeah, the next thing is going to go. We've been trying to come up with an idea because the DVD, there's just not enough people who are subscribed to the DVD version, to the Max version. So we're trying to come up with new ideas to come up with that, so that the Max version of Real Magic is a better value. But we haven't come up with it. We can't figure it out. So, I recommend that people just buy on demand, and they get every issue of Real Magic plus all the other stuff, the lectures and Unleashed and Cellini and all that stuff. So, yeah.
I think when I saw you in 2019, you were telling me, hey, get rid of the DVD, go online. I'm like, I like the DVDs. But now that I've gone online, all the DVDs are there. You got lectures. He's got lecture notes. I was like, oh, that must be the lecture section, because I was just watching a lecture the other night. No, it's people's lecture notes. He has them in PDF format of all these things.
Nice.
It's got. I'm enjoying the Apocalypse Now. I don't know that magician. What's his name? Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy Tinoco. Yeah.
Never heard of him before, but I've watched like season 1, so I've watched probably 45 minutes of this one thing, and I really like the guy. I saw an interview with him with Harry Lorraine, which was amazing, and it's just so much. And I have only scratched the surface. There's a whole bunch of stuff I haven't clicked on yet, because it's a whole nother world of. It's loaded, dude. For $7 a month. My gosh.
Yeah, it's the best deal in Magic by far. I mean, it's crazy, and every Tuesday night, we add something new every Tuesday night. So like tomorrow night, we're going to add Jim Cellini's ring routine. There's 2 ring routine, which is just so beautiful. And but the idea is that every Tuesday night we'd add a little magic fix, so like, hey, here's something really cool, and next week we're going to give you another one, so just tune in every Tuesday night to get your little magic thing. And there are over 2,000 videos on the site now.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's extensive. I mean, it's the Curtis Cam doing Bobo. Now, let me tell you something. Curtis Cam, that is a brilliant dude. That guy is smart. He comes to it took us almost 5 years to do the Bobo thing. He came from Hawaii to my house in New York 4 times and shot video. And when he would do, like chapters, and he would just recite it. He would just do the moves, and it was all one take. Because he's just a brilliant guy, and sweetest guy on the planet. Just a great guy. Loves magic. I was in Hawaii on tour, and you talk about addiction, and I got jet lag, and I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's Curtis standing in front of a mirror.
Wow.
Over and over and over. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, just working on stuff. I mean, he knows everything. The guy knows everything. He knows where everything started, where everything came from. Brilliant guy. Loves magic. I love Curtis Cam.
Wow. So are you recording all of these things? Are you sending out people to record other things, like the Doc Easton, Garrett Thomas thing? Is that you behind the camera filming that?
Yeah, we shot all that stuff, almost all the stuff. I'd say about 98% of the stuff on the site is something that we shot, either me or people who worked with me. you know, we'd fly out to Rigo started to do his thing on his own because his son, he's in LA, I'm in New York, and his son is, you know, can do video. So he would send us the raw footage and then we'd edit it. But yeah, all this stuff is ours. Yeah, we did it all.
So I saw something last night and it said Big Blind Media at the end. Are they sending you clips of trying to get people to go to Big Blind Media, or is that you as well?
Big Blind Media, I don't even know if they're still around, but they used to produce a lot of Magic DVDs, and they would give me content, and then we just yeah. So you know, they give me they put out a new DVD, they give me one piece off of it, and we could put it in Real Magic, and then say, hey, you can get this, you get the rest of this, you know, at Big Blind Media. So it helped promote their product, and we got free content.
But your lectures and things aren't just lectures. I mean, he's adding pop art things to it, like with David Regal. There's always like trick of the month and the thing, and he has like the sound effects and the clip art stuff that appears on the screen and different things, and he can touch different things and it appears on the screen.
Oh wow!
I was watching Nathan Kranzo today, and he said you can go to Home Depot, and then Home Depot starts here, and then Kroger also sells it, and Kroger logo. So it's not just the raw footage. It would be so easy just to videotape it and just put it up.
Right.
But he's adding all these little bells and whistles.
Extras,
yeah. It's awesome, dude. Cool. I love it. Real Magic Magazine.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Who watches this podcast? Is this
we have listeners in 53 different countries, both magicians and non-magicians.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And you enjoy doing this?
I love it. I love it. I'm a little out of it today. I don't know what's up. We did yard work yesterday. I'm exhausted. I'm sore. I feel like my brain's not firing, but
you're fine.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I get to talk to my friends. David Penn was a big get for me. I love David Penn. David, awesome dude. And we got to talk afterwards for hour and a half off the air. I had a great time.
A while,
yeah.
He's big time in the UK.
Yeah.
He's a big time guy.
Well, and then, you put him on About Wizard product review, but he had just got off Britain's Got Talent when you did that, which may have crossed over. I don't know, but around that same time. So let's see. I got a whole bunch of other questions here for you. Let's see. So who is I don't even know if you can say this. This might not be something you want to say. Who is your favorite street performer today? Not counting yourself, obviously.
I don't think I really have one. A lot of respect for Dante, Nick Nicholas from Australia, or Gary Animal, are magicians that are really, really good. Doug Kahn, who's a great technician. There's this guy, Hilby, the skinny German juggler guy.
I love Hilby.
Yeah, Hilby. I watched Hilby at festival early on, and he had this huge crowd, and he was so funny. Afterwards, I walked up to him. I says, "Hey, man, Hilby, I'm a magician. My name is Koz." And he goes, "Yeah, I saw you. You're a really good magician." I go, "Yeah, thanks." I go, "But you're so funny." Now here's something, He says, "But," I said to him, "But you're so funny." And he goes, "Well, you got to work on it. You got to work on that."
Mm-hmm.
And it changed things. Yeah, I don't have to be serious. I can be funny, and I'm naturally funny. So that was a big moment for me,
Hilby did MAES a few years after you, and he killed. Jugglers kill, but he's I don't want to just put him in that category. He killed. And afterwards, we were all sessioning in the lobby, and he came by and did a magic trick in German. It only works if you spell these words in German and do this thing and do this, and it's amazing. It blew everyone away. So if you still have contact information with him, get him to show that, maybe teach that on Real Magic, because it blew everyone away. So look up all these other names you gave me, because I want to know more about it. And we have a Facebook podcast group where I can put these links. So Dante, I want to look up the crazy German clown that you play poker with. What's this dude's name? Does he have any videos?
Checkers?
Yeah, Checkers. I just want to see this guy. That's it.
I don't think you really do. No, I love Checkers, but he's nuts, man. He's, you know, I was on the road. He would travel with me some. Yeah, he was, oof, yeah.
So with with the real magic, I mean, you've had Jason Alexander, and
Mm.
you've had some amazing people. Who's your favorite interview, you think?
I think
Besides
that. Go ahead.
besides Cellini, because he was living with you, you did this whole doc. I mean, that was something special. Your Cellini. The
Yeah,
other one and done interviews. Who was your favorite?
I think that the Jason Alexander interview was my favorite.
Now, were you videotaping that?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. I never know. He's behind the camera.
yeah.
Oh,
So Jason is in my room. I rented a suite in New Orleans at Orleans in Vegas, and we had finished the shoot. And he said to me, he said, "Hey, Cots, can I hang out here for an hour or two? I got this thing I got to do, but I don't want to be down in the casino, you know, because he can't go anywhere. It's Jason Alexander, you know, he's created one of the most memorable television characters in history. He can't walk outside, right, without being bothered." I said, "Yeah, sure, you can stay, whatever, you know." So it was me and John Lovick and Jason, and he says, "Well, I got to go now." So he was got his ball cap on, you know, like you do backwards, and we're on the top floor of this hotel. We go to the elevator. We get in the elevator and we're going down, and it would stop, and people would walk in the elevator and go, "Holy shit, that's Jason Alexander," you know. And we got to the very bottom, and the door is about ready to open, and he goes, "Okay, you ready?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." So he takes his cap and he turns it around like this and puts it down over his eyes. He goes, "Let's go." And we step out, and we got to go to the other side. I don't know if you've been to Magic Live, but the other side of the casino where the escalator goes up. And so, and then he's hopping, head down like this. And I said to him, I said, "Why aren't people stopping you?" And he goes, "Shh, they'll recognize my voice."
mm,
Yeah. You know, and you can see people go as he's going by, but by the time they really, "Hey, that's Jason Alexander." Well, he's way down there now, you know.
yeah.
No, but I thought that interview was special because, you know, you got one of the biggest television stars in the world ever, you know, doing magic at the Magic Castle, and he wins Parlor Magician of the Year, you know, and he was good. I mean, there's video of him actually performing on the Real Magic, uh, on issue 2 of Real Magic. But he's talking about character development, and he's talking about, how does George suddenly be able to read people's minds, and
Yeah.
how does he do that? And so he started talking about his process, and he's a 5th-degree black belt. He's a concert pianist. He's a wicked good athlete. He's a really, I mean, he's a great actor, right? He's a great comedic actor. So how does this guy, develop? Yeah, and so he goes through the whole process in that interview of how he did this, and then he started talking about, we have to be realistic here. I'm a short, chubby guy, and I have to look. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to be on stage with the dancing girl and and all of that stuff. That doesn't work for me. I'm not going to be David Copperfield or one of those guys. So I have to find a character that fits what I look like and who I really am. And I thought it was a really great interview, and really something that all magicians should watch. And because I think that particular interview is just gold. I mean, it's just, you're going to learn so much about yourself by watching this interview.
Well, it wasn't, hey, I go to the magic shop, I bought that, put it together. He had a whole background of why he was doing it and what tricks he wanted to persuade this that led into the next. It totally made sense. And from an actor's point of view, not from magic proppy point of view,
When he was researching this thing, he used people. He used lot, Lovick and a lot of magicians that were out there in LA, a lot of the castle guys, asked me if he could call me to ask me questions, I mean, he used Steinmeier. I mean, he approached it, in a serious manner when he decided he was going to perform a magic show at the Magic Castle because he was there all the time.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So, are you still going to conventions?
No,
You're
no, I
not?
haven't been, I mean, I never really, I mean, it never really paid off. I'm better off just doing social media, trying to get subscribers,
Okay.
get 25, 30 subscribers who are giving you $7 a month. It's pretty tough to do that. And, costs so much, magic. Plus, a lot of the conventions aren't really strong anymore, are they? I mean, they're kind of dying off.
Magic
So,
Club. Well, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, you got Magic Live and you got, Magi Fest in Columbus, and there's a few out there, but most of them are kind of small, so.
I just thought about you saying that Jason Alexander had his ball cap down and running. We were in Vegas, and Brad Williams. Do you know the little guy, Brad Williams, the comedian? He can put his head down and he can run past you, but everybody knows there's no disguise he can wear because he's a little person,
Yeah.
So like everybody, but he's got to just keep his head down and keep running. It was kind of funny to see him try to run through the hallway because there's no hiding.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we used to do it. We used to do that at conventions.
Yeah.
I mean, Garrett and I would be at the booth and we'd say, okay, look, let's go get some food. We're starving. And if we walk slowly, we know for sure we're going to get stopped a bunch of times. Magicians are going to stop and talk to Garrett or me or ask questions, that kind of stuff, and which is great. I love that, but man, I'm starving. So hey, I'll talk to you later. Catch me at the booth and I'll be back in an hour. Let's just go because we never get to eat.
Come see me at the booth. That's what I'm here for. Don't talk to me now. Come see me at the booth.
Well, no, I love magicians, and I love, love talking to them I love doing these kinds of things, talking about my life and, their magic and how I can make their magic better and, help them on their magic journey. So it's a good thing.
So I don't know anything about your family. Tell me about your kids. How many kids do you have?
I got a wife, 3 kids, and they're older now. So I got one that's going to be 50 in a couple of years. It's just, what the hell?
Wow. That don't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
I'm 67.
Wow. I would
Daggone it.
not have guessed that.
So
You're
any of them?
sweet.
I'm serious. I would not have guessed that.
No. Yeah. So I don't even know. Any of them into magic in the smallest iota?
No, they hate it. They're proud of me, but they hate magic, and they saw it a lot, and then it took me away from them too.
Yeah.
So, it just isn't their thing. I mean, they're proud, they know that I'm, had some kind of significance, and although my, that's waning, I think, in the magic community. I'm not as relevant as I used to be, but yeah, they're proud.
Dude, that's yeah. In my world, you're still a big deal, dude. So
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell everybody realmagicmagazine.com, and it's REEL magazine.
No.
Magicmagazine.com.
And this, this whole thing about me being a legend, they're just making me feel good for being old.
No. I'm telling you, you blew me away that weekend. I came to your booth right after and told you, dude, and you're like, well, tell me about it. What did you expect? Nothing. I wasn't expecting a thing. That's what blew me away. It was awesome. It was awesome. I don't know if you remember that at all. Remember that conversation?
I don't. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But you're like, well, what were you expecting?
Yeah.
Nothing. I had no expectation. Tag on it. What else, Natalie? Help me out. So your wife, did she have a real job while you were doing all this? How did that, or were you supporting family?
For a short period of time.
Yeah.
We've lived off of magic. Magic's been good.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That's great.
I produced 150 products that I sell worldwide, through Murphy's, and we do the real magic thing, and I perform, when I feel like it, and it's really good. And it's in my life the greatest gift I've ever been given is a little magic show that's taken me around the world. It truly is my greatest blessing. It's always my hopes that whenever I have the opportunity to talk to magicians like I am now, that they find some kind of inspiration in what I'm saying and go out and give it a try and have the same kind of success that I've had, because I truly am the most blessed guy on the planet. It's really been a great ride for me. Magic has been a wonderful, wonderful gift.
Dude, I love it. I love it. Is your magic props? I know you said Murphy's has it, but is all that also available at realmagicmagazine.com?
Some of the stuff is, but they can just, if there's something they're interested in, they can just email me and I'll send it to them. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're saying that you were away from your family. I don't know if it's better me dragging my family to all these gigs with me. Is that better? I don't know. I mean, I
don't know. I mean,
all their family, but now I'm dragging these kids to 400 shows a year. I have them in an RV. They're watching DVDs. We're trying to homeschool.
So far, they're having fun. So I think.
But I can see them resent me later on, saying, "Dad drugged me to all these places." So I don't know. Is it a win? I don't know.
I think there'll come a time when they want to have more. I probably will come a time when they want to be more social, have more social things for them. Like school, that kind of thing. But who knows? I mean, and I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I mean, you're living it, man. You know whether it's a good thing or not.
Well, I saw so many magician friends of mine saying that they got offered these jobs, but these cruise ship jobs were 6 months at sea, and they weren't seeing their families, or get hired over in France to do a gig for 4 months, and they didn't see their family. And I'm getting more successful, but I don't get to see my family. So I said, all right, well, when we have kids, we'll bring them with us. And so far, it's working out. We homeschool, but there's homeschool groups. So my little girl takes theater lessons. She takes ballet lessons at these groups. And my little boys, my identical twin boys, are only 3 years old. So they haven't complained about anything yet.
Yeah, no,
so
they're good.
they got goldfish and a big screen TV. They're happy, man. Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I can't tell you how much that I've loved your product. And it sounds silly. Hey, it's a magic DVD magazine. But, dude, it's on my TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I love it so much. It's always on the background when I'm in my magic room playing around. And because you always get a little nugget from these interviews. And they're so well done. And there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I mean, 54 full issues, but then so much more on the website.
Yeah, Kaino's Coin Chorus and Garrett Thomas's Finger Ring Chorus. There's a lot of great content on the site. Yeah, hopefully somebody will check it out.
Well, I'm going to put links everywhere. I'm going to tell everybody one more time, realmagicmagazine.com. Kozmo, you're the best, man. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem. Great seeing you guys.
Only thing left to say is see you next week.
Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.